Charges and field. First we need to understand what is a charge. Charge is a fundamental property of matter. That means a matter possesses charge. A matter can exist without charge. This state of matter only called as neutral state. But charge never exists without matter. That is the meaning of this statement. If a body possesses a charge, it can produce both electric and magnetic effects. A charged body exhibits electric and magnetic effects. When a charged body exhibits electric effect and when it will exhibit magnetic effects, we will see that. When a charged body is at rest, it exhibits only electric effect. It exhibits only electric effect. When a charged body is in motion, exhibits both electric and magnetic effects. But in this topic, our discussion will confine to only electric effects of charge. That means in this topic, we are going to study charges are at rest. This branch of physics only called as electrostatics. Now, see how many kinds of charges exist in this nature. There are two types of charges. Number one, positive charge. Number two, negative charge. See, once if you know the types of charges, then immediately we need to understand how a body acquires positive charge or a negative charge. If you see the bodies which are present in nature, all are made up of atoms. For example, take piece of chalk or duster or board or anything, even a human body, if you see, every body in this nature is made up of atom. That means we need to understand first what is atom and what it consists. So atom is a tiny particle which cannot be seen with our naked eye. So how we'll study the atom if it is not visible for naked eye? So with the help of atomic structure theories proposed by various scientists, we can easily understand the structure of atom. So here I will take the help of Bohr's theory. Any atom consists of nucleus at its center. Nucleus is positively charged and electrons, negatively charged particles, are revolving around the nucleus in a fixed orbit. This is general. Atom consists of nucleus, positively charged nucleus, and negatively charged electrons are revolving around the nucleus in a fixed orbit. This is a basic structure of an atom. So nucleus consists of nucleons. What are nucleons? Nucleons are proton, can be denoted with P, or we may write it as H11. Proton is basically positively charged. And neutron. Neutron is in neutral in state, so no charge. This is all about nucleus of the atom. And negatively charged electrons are revolving around the nucleus in a fixed orbits. So, electron is a negatively charged particle. If you see the magnitude of charge of the proton and electron, charge of the proton E is equal to plus 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb. Charge of the electron is minus 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb. If you see charge of proton and electron, magnitudes are equal but opposite in polarity. Okay, so to understand how a body acquires a charge, we'll take one simple atomic structure atom, that is lithium. So if we take lithium, lithium can be represented as Li36. This is atomic number Z. That means the number of protons present in the nucleus will be represented by atomic number. And this is mass number A. It represents the number of nucleons present in the nucleus. So nucleons means protons plus neutrons. See here we have already, we know from this information, we have 3 protons in the nucleus. That means here if we substitute 3, if you subtract 3 from 6, you will get number of neutrons is 3. So lithium atom consists of 3 protons and 3 neutrons in its nucleus. See, generally atoms are available in nature in neutral state. That means the number of protons in the nucleus is equal to the same number of electrons in the outer orbits. So I'll draw the structure of atom. So this lithium nucleus contains 3 protons. So similarly, here we have 3 neutrons and 3 electrons are revolving around the nucleus in an orbit. In the first orbit, we have only 2 electrons revolving around the nucleus and the third electron present in the second orbit. Third electron will revolve in the second orbit. For any atom, usually we have infinity orbits. But here, 3 electrons easily accommodated in the first and second orbits. Okay, if you see this atom, neutral atom, 3 units of positive charge we have in the nucleus and 3 units of negative charge lies in the orbits. So net charge is 0. Net charge is equal to 0. That means this atom is said to be neutral. Now I need to give charge for this atom. How will provide charge for the atom? Means we have a concept in chemistry that is called ionization energy. Ionization energy is minimum energy required to remove an electron from an atom. It's called ionization energy. That means if you provide ionization energy for this electron, it disappears here. It escapes from the atom. Now 3 units of positive charge lies in the nucleus and only 2 electrons in the outer orbits. So only 2 units of negative charge present in the lithium atom. So net charge is now 1 unit of positive charge. Net charge is 1 unit of positive charge. That means now this neutral lithium atom becomes lithium ion. This is called cation, positively charged lithium atom. It becomes now positively charged lithium atom. If we can add 1 electron to this atom, if we add 1 electron, then it will become lithium minus ion, that is anion. So, by transfer of electrons, loss of electron or gain of electron gives charge to the body. If a body loses electrons, gains positive charge. If atom gains an electron, acquires negative charge. So, this is how we will charge the atom. If atom gets charged or ionized, automatically the body gets ionized. Body acquires a charge. A body which loses electrons acquires a positive charge. So, loss of electron. We have to understand whether this electron will possess mass or not. We know electron possess mass. Mass of the electron is 9.1 into 10 to the power of minus 31 kg. That means if any object loses one electron, that object loses this much amount of mass. Positive charged body, mass slightly decreases. So, positively charged body mass slightly decreases. Similarly, when a body gains electrons, a body gains an electron, acquires negative charge, acquires a negative charge, and its mass slightly increases because it gained electron. That means some mass is added to the atom. So, its mass slightly increases. Then we can represent charge with the letter Q. You can use it a capital Q or a small q, that is doesn't matter, but charge is denoted by Q. Charge is a scalar quantity. Charge is a scalar. We know from our basics how to deal with the scalars. Scalar have only magnitude. There is no direction for the scalar physical quantities. So, that is why if we apply a simple algebra is enough to deal the scalar physical quantities. SI unit of charge. SI unit of charge. SI unit of charge is Coulomb. SI unit of charge is Coulomb. It is denoted with the letter C. Coulomb usually will represent with the letter C. CGS unit of charge. CGS unit of charge is electrostatic unit. The relation between SI unit of charge and CGS unit of charge is 1 Coulomb is equal to 3 into 10 to the power of 9 electrostatic units. Okay. Now, we will see the dimensional formula of charge. Dimensional formula of charge. Dimensional formula, to calculate dimensional formula for any physical quantity, usually we require one mathematical expression. That mathematical expression should contain this physical quantity, charge. See, from your lower classes you know electric current. Electric current is defined as the rate of a flow of charge. So that means I is equal to Q by T. So charge can be written as current into time. Q is equal to I into T. One more important point we have to remember, writing a dimensional formula for any physical quantity means expressing that physical quantity in terms of fundamental physical quantities. How many fundamental physical quantities we have? We have 7 fundamental physical quantities, you know from the first PUC lesson, units and dimensions and measurements. First fundamental physical quantity is mass. Mass is denoted with capital M. And the second one is length, is denoted with the letter L. And third one is time, is denoted with capital T. And the fourth one is absolute scale of temperature. Absolute scale of temperature is measured in Kelvin scale, so that's why absolute scale of temperature now I am representing with the letter K. And the fifth one is quantity of substance. See, usually here the mass, quantity of substance and mass almost the same, but in case of solids and liquids we will express in terms of mass, and in case of gaseous the quantity of gas can be measured in terms of moles. So that's why the fifth fundamental physical quantity is mole. These 5 fundamental physical quantities usually we come across in PUC 1. But the remaining 2 we will cover in the second PUC. That is electrical current. 6th one is electric current. Electric current, we can write either it is ampere or even you can represent with the letter I. Both are correct. You can represent electrical current in dimensional formula with a letter A, or you may represent with I also, there is no problem. And the last fundamental physical quantity is luminous intensity. It is denoted with the candela, CD. So other than these 7 physical quantities, remaining all physical quantities which we discuss in physics are called derived physical quantities. These 7 are fundamental, other physical quantities can be called as derived physical quantities. For example, see here, charge. It is not there in the fundamental list. That means a charge is a derived physical quantity. So it is derived from current and time. So if you see the expression for a charge, it contains 2 physical quantities. One is electric current and second one is time. But electric current is there in our list in fundamental physical quantities. So that's why now I am going to replace I with a letter A. So that's why this is ampere. And time is also there in fundamental physical quantity list. So that's why I am replacing this time with letter T. So the dimensional formula of charge is AT. Standard representation of dimensional formula is mass is not there. So that's why I am representing with m power 0. And L is not in the dimensional formula. So that's why I am representing L power 0. T, time is there, but only single T is there. So that's why it can be represented with T power 1. And we have ampere, so it can be represented as A power 1. So this is the standard representation of dimensional formula. Now, see, we know when a body loses electrons, acquires positive charge. When a body gains electrons, acquires a negative charge. It's okay. But if you are unable to see the atom with your naked eye, then how can you understand whether this atom is charged or not, if this body is a charged body or not. So to test whether this body is charged or not, we have a different methods over a period of time. There are so many methods have developed, but very basic method is when you touch a body, if you get a shock, then no doubt this body is charged. But this method of identifying the existence of charge on the body is not advisable, because when a human body gets a shock, you will get lot of pain. So that's why we need one apparatus or a device to test whether this body is charged or not. So the device which can be used to identify whether the body is charged or not is gold leaf electroscope. Gold leaf electroscope. Now what you do, I'll give an animation, just you go through that animation, afterwards we'll discuss the importance and advantages of that gold leaf electroscope.
Gold leaf electroscope. Gold leaf electroscope is a very sensitive device used to detect the charge on a body. A simple gold leaf electroscope is shown here. The electroscope consists of two gold leaves hanging from a brass rod. The rod carries a disc at the upper end. The mouth of the glass bell jar is fitted with an ebonite stopper. The rod carrying the disc passes through the ebonite stopper. The glass jar rests on a wooden base. Two strips of tin foils are fixed to the inside of the glass jar and run from the level of the gold leaf down to the wooden base. The wooden base is also covered with tin foils. This arrangement makes the electroscope more sensitive. The jar protects the gold leaves from damages due to air currents.
Okay, now just you have gone through the gold leaf electroscope animation, no? There are different parts like brass disc. For this brass disc, a brass rod is connected and it is buried through some insulating materials, but those are all, what is their importance of those parts, you will already understand from the animation. But to explain the concept, I need not to represent every time those glass casings and all, I am not interested. We will take exactly the physical function, which parts of that gold leaf electroscope is required to understand the concept. That only I am drawing in every case. I am not going to draw a complete diagram of gold leaf electroscope every time. So basic important part to understand the concept is this brass disc, and it is connected to a brass rod. Other end of the brass rod is connected to gold leaves, thin foils of gold leaves. I have represented here two gold leaves which are connected at the other end of the brass rod. If these two gold leaves are parallel to each other, means there is no charge present on the gold leaves. One important property of charges, that is called law of charges. Law of charges. Law of charges. What is law of charges? Like charge. Like charge. Like charge means both positive. Both positive. Both the charges are positive. Or both negative. Both negative. Like charge means if you have two charged bodies, both should have either positive charge or negative charge. Then we will say those two bodies are having like charge. Like charges repels. Like charges repels each other. Similarly, unlike charges. Unlike charges. Unlike charges. Unlike charges means one is positive, other is negative. One must be a positive and other must be a negative. Then we will say charges are said to be unlike. Unlike charges attracts. Unlike charges attracts each other. This is called law of charges. See now, this gold leaf electroscope do not have any charge now. If I want to test, this piece of chalk is having charge or not. So what you have to do, you bring that body, any object which you want to test whether this body possesses a charge or not. That body should kept in contact with the brass disc. If this body possesses any kind of charge, positive charge or negative charge, usually what will happen, brass disc and brass rod are good conductors of charge. So that's why charge flows from body to disc and it resides on the gold leaves. You remember here it is one important point you have to understand. If the two objects are identical means dimensions, shape, material, everything should be same. Then we'll say those two bodies are said to be identical. Here gold leaves are identical. So that's why same amount of charge resides on each gold leaf. Here charge is Q means here also charge is Q only, because they are identical. It divides equally. The flown charge will be divided equally for gold leaves. Imagine if this body is having positive charge. Positive charge is there. For example, when you kept this one in contact, positive charge flows onto the gold leaves through brass rod. So when a gold leaves acquires a charge, positive charge, like charge will be acquired by the gold leaves. That's why they repel each other. So angular divergence can take place. If you see this body, here magnitude of charge decreases. For example, here I have taken example 6 units of positive charge. In that 2 units of positive charge resides on this gold leaf and 2 units of positive charge resides on the other gold leaf. Only 2 units of positive charge will left on the charged body. So if we observe the angular divergence in the gold leaves, then I can say this body possesses charge. But this is brass disc. One end of the brass rod is connected to disc and other end is connected to gold leaves. They are parallel now. That means there is no charge present on the gold leaves. If any object is kept in contact with the brass disc, my intention is whether this body is having charge or not. That I have to find. Usually these charged bodies will hold with insulating handle. Why? Because human body is a good conductor. If it touches this body directly, you will get shock because charge flows. If charge exists on this body, that charge will flows through your body to the ground. So you will get a shock. So that's why whenever you are bringing any charged bodies, it is understood that I am bringing that charged body by holding insulating handle. So if we kept in contact here, because I don't know whether this body is having charge or not, I am taking my safety. I am holding this body with the insulating handle. If you kept in contact and if you leave some time and if you observe, if these gold leaves remains parallel, means this body is uncharged. Uncharged body. This body is uncharged. If the angular divergence is observed, here, that means this body is charged. But what kind of charge is present in this body means I cannot say directly now. We have only two kinds of charge, positive charge and negative charge. But kind of charge I may not identify immediately, but by doing different operations on this gold leaf, I can easily justify which kind of charge present on this body also can be known. But with a simple single operation, it is not possible. Okay. One more important point you have to understand from this concept is the magnitude of charge present on the surface of these gold leaves, Q, is directly proportional to angular divergence. If more charge flows onto the gold leaves, you will get more angular divergence. If the amount of flow of charge is less, small angular divergence we will observe. That means the magnitude of charge present on the gold leaves is directly proportional to angular divergence. By knowing the angular divergence, even I can calculate the magnitude of charge present on these gold leaves. This is important. Okay, next. Even by using this gold leaf electroscope, even I can classify the substances. By using this gold leaf electroscope, even I can identify whether the bodies are conductors or insulators. For example, I want to know, I got one rod in my hand. This is a rod. Why? Because by seeing the rod we cannot say it is a metal or insulator, or maybe what is that material, it is made up of a conductor or an insulator, even I don't know that. So I need to understand whether this is a conductor or an insulator. It is a good conductor of charge or a poor conductor of charge or an insulator. If I can decide this body is a conductor or an insulator. For that, what I have to do, I have to take two gold leaf electroscopes. So I will take two gold leaf electroscopes side by side. See, first gold leaf electroscope should have charge. If a positively charged body is kept in contact, then positively charged flows through the rod and it resides on the gold leaves, so that they will undergo angular divergence. They will undergo angular divergence. Second gold leaf should not have any charge on the leaves. So that's why the gold leaves are parallel to each other. Gold leaves are parallel to each other. Okay, better will represent like this only. They are parallel to each other. They are parallel. Now, what we have to do, which body you want to know whether it is a conductor or not, that object you be in contact with both the gold leaf electroscopes. One end should be in contact with this disc and the other end should be in contact with this disc. If it is a conductor, obviously charge starts flowing from gold leaves to this rod and rod to other side of the gold leaves. If these gold leaves undergoes angular divergence, then I can say this body is conductor. Even this body is in contact with these two gold leaves, we haven't observed any angular divergence. Again these gold leaves are parallel to each other. Then I will say this body is insulator. That body is an insulator. So after this activity, see what kind of questions we can expect in competitive examinations from this concept. Usually in JEE mains, you will get some questions from experimental physics. So what kind of question we may expect, just we will see this. See, in gold leaf electroscope, when a charged body is kept in contact for some time and I am removed, the charge flows through the brass rod to the gold leaves and they are they will undergo an angular divergence of 60 degrees. The charge may be a positive or may be a negative. That I don't know. But some charge is flown from charged body to leaves. That's why they undergone angular divergence. The angular divergence of the gold leaves is 60 degrees. Now again I brought one more body. I am saying it is charged body. Remember, another charged body is kept in contact. Kept in contact. Then what will happen? Charge obviously flows from body to gold leaf. After flowing the charge, if the angular divergence is decreased to 30 degrees. Angular divergence is decreased to 30 degrees. That means angular divergence is decreased here. We have already discussed this. The magnitude of charge present on the gold leaves is directly proportional to angular divergence. That means in the first case, the magnitude of charge present on the gold leaves is more than the second case. That means in the second case, when another charged body is kept in contact with the brass rod, at that time the charge flows through this brass rod is unlike charge. Unlike charge. First you imagine here positive charge is there. 60 degrees divergence. Angular divergence is decreased means magnitude of positive charge on the leaves decreased, no? That means 2 units of negative charge is passed through this rod. That means first rod charge nature, second charged rod nature is different. First one is positively charged, second was negative, vice versa. First one may be negative, second one may be positive. So if the angular divergence decreases means unlike charged rod is kept in contact with the gold leaf. For example, if the angular divergence is increased to 70 degrees for example, that means some more amount of positive charge only passed through this rod. That means the magnitude of charge on the gold leaves increases. That means similar kind of charged rod is kept in contact with the gold leaf electroscope. When angular divergence increases, similar kind of charged rod is kept in contact. If angular divergence decreases, unlike charged rod is kept in contact. This is the important point you have to understand.